she done? I am gonna give the benefit of the doubt is that that's a broken prop, but I heard the ESC's reboot. I think that was an ESC.
I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. Let's list off the wizards that EACHINE has made. The Wizard X220, the X220S, the TS215, and now the subject of today's video, the Wizard HV. With every wizard that EACHINE has made, they have gotten better, to the point where the Wizard HV is shockingly well spec'd. This is a really nicely spec'd and nicely designed quad. But the other thing they've always struggled with is making quadcopters with really poor quality that then fail in the field immediately after purchase and need to be upgraded or repaired and leave their owners wishing they'd bought something else. Is that also true of the Wizard HV? You're going to find out. In order to introduce you to the Wizard HV, I'm going to show you some footage now that I shot when I was very first unboxing and setting up the quad. And I don't normally do that because I hadn't done any research or anything. But I think the sincere emotional response that I had to the quad is worth making an exception to that rule. It has a built-in, does it have a built-in lost model buzzer? It does, look right here. It's got a built-in lost model buzzer, like the Hellgate that it's super loud. So you can see here, this is not your standard little regular buzzer like this thing. This thing is not very loud. And it got a built-in little 1-cell battery so it can keep beeping after you eject your battery and lose your quad in the woods. 3D printed antenna mount? Damn! And just look at the wiring here. Look at the wiring here. Holy crap. Look how clean that is. It's really nice and clean. Jeez. Oh, well. Hey, Stingy. Look familiar? They have used the chin design of the Stinger Swarm frame, which lets them mount a... Is this full-sized or is this mini-sized? I think it's full... No, it's in the little plastic carrier. So it's a mini-sized camera, which is an interesting choice. It's an example of how, I mean, they copied the Stingy, right, with this chin design. But if you look at the Stingy V2, they completely got rid of that by designing for a micro camera. Why didn't they just design it for a micro camera? Well, because they were copying the Stingy and they maybe didn't think ahead. But okay. The frame does have the additional slit here for the type of camera case that has that extra little, it's an older camera case. Oh, here's one. I have one handy. So the frame has the slit for this style of camera case where this would be used to lock in the angle. Well, so they've installed a 3-hole camera on this, but they've cut the frame for a 2-hole style. So that's interesting. Suggests that... I don't know what it suggests, but there you go. This has probably been designed for an older style of camera and just they didn't catch up. They didn't update the design. No way! Impossible! Impossible! This is... I noticed there's a certain kind of dull color that high-grade steel has, and I noticed the bolts are stamped, the screws are stamped 10-9. So 10-9... It has something to do with the alloy of steel. All I know is that when Armatan was having problems with screws stripping out, they switched to 12-9 steel. And that's like this super high grade, ultra hard, ultra tough. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. But I'm going to guess that 10-9 is almost as good as 12-9. This is not your normal sort of cheese grade. They're not stainless steel. They're better. And are they legit 10-9? Because you always have to wonder with some of this stuff coming out of China. But I'm going to get, it probably would be more work for them to buy fake 10-9 steel and get it stamped than it would be to just buy legit. I'm going to guess this is legit. Now here's something about this frame that is driving me freaking crazy. This is a terrible, terrible idea and no one should have done it. I don't know what they were thinking. Tell me how you're gonna change an arm on this. Yeah, I'm looking at it carefully to make sure I'm right. Tell me how you're gonna change an arm. Which screws do you need to take out to change an arm? You need to take out this one, and this one. Now, first of all, it's fantastic that they've got a 3-screw design that helps the arms stay really locked in. That's fantastic. They could have probably gotten away with only 2, but 3 is very nice. But you're gonna remove these screws. Okay, let's do it. So this one comes out. Yeah. Does that one go through the arm? Yes, it does. This is the stack screw, and I don't love this. I don't like having to take my stack screw out to change my arm, but you could get away with it if you leave the other 3 in. This stuff here in the stack will stay in place, and you won't have any trouble. But look at the 3rd one that you got to take out. How are you going to get your screwdriver here? Look. What am I going to do? I cannot reach this screw with my stack installed, you dopes. Tool paths. You need tool paths. You got to think about how the tools are going to get in. So the very first time you break an arm, you're going to have to take your whole stack out of the quad to get at this. You can't even, like, there's just no way to get at it to hold the screw head steady while you reinstall this. So this should, ideally, it should be a captive nut in the base plate, and the screw should come up from the bottom. That's the ideal. The second best thing to do would be to install these screws with the nuts here and the screws coming in from the bottom, and you could get in there with like a fine, like a hemostat and hold it. But that's still risky because you risk damaging the flight controller when you jab the tool or something. So there's only way to do this right would be with captive nuts and screws coming up from the bottom. Big mistake here. That's unacceptable to have to. It's not a deal breaker for the quad because we know we give things up. This is looking like a really stunningly good quad for the price, at least having never flown it, etc. But this is just a big mistake that should really be fixed. And the first time you break an arm on this quad, just bite the bullet. When you have to take the whole stack apart, I guess the best thing you got to do is just at least put the nuts on the top here, but really Eachine should modify this to use press nuts or captive nuts, so make things much easier. Oh, it comes with this isn't even 3D printed. This is a session mount. It's not even 3D printed. It's legit injection molded. Too bad sessions are on the way out. Here we've got the antenna. Yeah, it looks just like a Triumph. That's not a coincidence. What were you thinking? And is it SMA? Well, that's interesting. Usually it's RP. Well, anyway, usually the VTXs are RP SMA. That's a little unexpected. As with every one of these I've gotten, I don't know why this is. Look, you see when you tighten it down by hand, this is loose. That's not good. You don't want that. Since this is 3D printed, maybe I can just tighten this nut down a little bit and give myself enough threads. There's just not enough threads there. It's unfortunate. I'm hoping if you do this, make sure this part doesn't rotate, okay? I'm just gonna crank this down until I have enough. I can't. Yeah, see now I can't get the tool on it because it's sort of collapsing into the 3D printed. But maybe that was enough that I can get it fully. Yes, it was good. Just need like another couple turns there, and we're good. Here's where we're going to install the receiver, which of course I'll need to do. Have they given us a convenient place to mount the receiver? They sure have. There's a space right here on the side of this tray, and that's probably where the receiver is going to go. Gives us a very convenient place to mount a small receiver and get at the bind button and everything. Very thoughtful. I love it. So, yeah, there is a lot to like about this quad. Eachine deserves massive credit If you compare this to the Wizard X220, the very first Wizard that Eachine released, this is leaps and bounds. This is generationally a better designed quad. And if we look at the inside, we can see the hits just keep on coming. The flight controller is, well, it's a standard flight controller. It has standard plugs here. You can get spares of these if you need to. It's an SH plug is what it's called. You can buy these anywhere. If you needed to replace something like the camera, it would be very easy, even for a beginner, to do it without soldering. Here's the receiver, here's the VTX, here's the camera. If you need to replace a flight controller, you just pop these out, drop it back in. Amazing. Very well done. And there's even something I overlooked when I was doing my first walkthrough. This is a Bluetooth adapter. You can use the SpeedyBee Bluetooth app to configure. It comes with SpeedyBee right out of the box. If you don't know what SpeedyBee is, I've got a link to my video about SpeedyBee down in the video description. Basically means you can use your smartphone and Bluetooth to configure the flight controller in the field. You don't even need a laptop. They put everything in the kitchen sink into this quad. I'm super impressed. How does it fly then? That's the next question we have to ask. And in order to do that, let's go out to the field and fly it.
So they've got the camera OSD turned on. The Foxeer OSD is turned on. That just means they took these Foxeer cameras from Foxeer and they just stuck them in there. If they'd have been thinking ahead, they might have ordered the cameras from Foxeer with the OSD turned off by default, because obviously it's going to go into a quad with Betaflight OSD. So that's a little, you know. Yeah, good power there. Right at the bottom of that, I waited till the last minute to get on the throttle. Did a good job. The camera's really struggling with the sun being low in the sky. It's having a hard time exposing well. That flick you're hearing is my battery strap. It's holding the session on, so don't worry about that. That's nothing wrong with the quad. Good power. Now the sag is happening. I feel it. Yeah, it's dropping out. The battery's done. See? It's alright. Let's drop it hard. It didn't reset. Yeah, okay. What you saw there, I've observed to be one of the greatest benefits and also detriments of 6S Low KV, which is that the pack feels very, very consistent from the beginning of the pack to the end, and you hardly feel any sag, which means that you kind of are tempted to just fly the battery until, well, thank goodness I had the beeper warning me I was down around 3.5 volts per cell, because otherwise I kind of would have just kept flying it. It's so easy to destroy these 6S packs, especially if you're used to 4S and you're not used to the voltage in the OSD. You're like 21, 20, what am I at? You know, you might consider putting the cell voltage, the average cell voltage in your OSD instead of the total pack voltage, or in addition to the total pack voltage, which will let you see 3.7, 3.6, 3.5, and that gives you an idea of when to stop flying. By the way, if you are a beginner, you generally want to stop flying so that your battery is resting around 3.8, to maybe 3.7 volts if you're pushing it. But if you finish flying, you pack up, you get home, and you check your batteries, and they're at like 3.9, 3.85, you could have kept flying longer. If they're at 3.6 or 3.7, you probably went a little too far. In flight, the battery may go lower than that because the voltage sags as you hit the throttle. So you may see it sag down to 3.6 while you're flying, but as long as you back off the throttle and it comes back up again, you're probably fine. Again, the final determinant for me is the resting voltage at the end of the flight, and if you pay attention to that, you kind of calibrate how hard you can push it in flight and how long you can fly. See that getting on the throttle there at the bottom, just like boom. That's where success is very nice. Oh, there you go. That was an inverted yaw spin, but she didn't come back. The ESC is not up to snuff, my friends. There you go. There you go. And on that note, I think we're going to close out the review of this quadcopter. The Eachine Wizard HV is without question the best Wizard Eachine has built to date. The 215 flies great, but has weird proprietary parts that make it not the best to learn on, because you're not learning about how a regular quadcopter is really built. The 220 is cheap as beans, and that's almost all it has to say for it. The quality of the parts is bad, and the durability is terrible. The HV is really smartly spec'd. It has so much good about the choices they made and what they put into it. It is well built. It is built like a normal quadcopter, so it's great to learn on. And yet, at the end of the day, Eachine has not overcome their reputation for, shall we say, spotty build quality. I have every confidence that a lot of people who get this quad will have a fantastic experience with it. And yet, some people who get this quad will have the experience that I just did. And for the kind of person who's going to buy a Wizard, they aren't going to want to spend, they may not know how to spend hours troubleshooting the ESC. You're not going to want to buy a ready to fly or blind and fly quad, and then the very first thing you have to do is swap out the ESC. So, what would the average customer do if he had bought, or she had bought this quad? Send it back to Banggood? They probably aren't going to give you a refund on the whole thing. They might send you a new ESC or spare motors, and then you got to put them in. So, does that mean that you shouldn't buy this? No, because the same person who wants to buy the Wizard X220 could buy this. And many people have a good experience off the 220. This is in every way a better quad than the X220. Leaps and bounds. The only hesitation I might have in recommending it for a beginner is that it takes 6S, and those 6S packs are going to be more expensive for you to get into, more expensive when you destroy them, so there's a little bit more of a barrier to entry. I would love to see EACHINE completely replace the Wizard X220 with a 4S version of this quad. It would be great. There you go. That's going to do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. Happy flying.